So it's funny that you actually came on this segment. This is how we got introduced. Do you remember, like, right when the pandemic first hit, we were coming up with this great mastermind, this great concept. We were getting partners to get in this, and Home First was one of those partners in the Live with Leaders segment. Yeah, so we're bringing on one of the partners of Home First Lending, Zach. How's it going, Zach?
It's going good, man. Yeah. The first time I met you, it was like, man, who is this guy? And then now you're everywhere. And now I'm here in your living room with you, so it's super awesome.
Yeah, man, it's been a great journey. And it's just funny just to show, we met virtually, as I'm sure a lot of people are now too.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how tall you are. I know you get that all the time.
I actually
didn't realize how tall you are.
Right.
Yeah, we met virtually.
Yeah, man, we met virtually at this great event and this great partnerships. And I think that's one thing that I've noticed from you. It's like, I'm everywhere, man. I see you everywhere with it. You guys are doing with your partners. You guys are very active with your partners. Like, what does that say? Like, is that something you guys actively do, but like, what's the reasoning behind that?
Yeah. Basically whenever I got into the mortgage business and started out, I said, okay, there's two ways to do this, right? One is, B2C, right? Going straight to consumers. Right. And then the other one is going to be going B2B, straight to real estate agents. And, I had a concept in mind that it was like, okay, if I could help real estate agents and our partners, instead of it just being kind of one-to-one referral back and forth here and there, so on and so forth. Right. If I could help and lock in with people to help them, create 15 referrals a month through our, joint efforts. Right. That's what it came down to. And I'm like, listen, you go where the money is. So the reality is that, while yes, there's a huge business and there's a lot of mortgage companies that go straight for the consumer, right. I've been focused highly on purchase business for a long time. Yeah. And knowing that, I know how much, that realtors have influence over their clients. So, hey, go to the source where people are starting their search, which is real estate agents. I just thought that was a great idea and a way to kind of niche my business by working with real estate agents.
And man, I love when I asked you, I'm like, what's one thing we could do to grab people's attention? You are open and you're open to it. Cause a lot of times when we have these stories, these past, it's like we trying to hold on to reserve. You're like, no, man, 2 years in, I filed bankruptcy. And like, that's where from bankruptcy to now partner in this firm, number one rated lender in Orlando. Talk to me about that beginning though. Like, what was one of those things? Like, if you could go back and tell yourself one thing as you were going through that, what would it be?
Don't think that you're untouchable, right? That's just what it comes down to. Is I think when you're young and you've got so much runway ahead on your life, right, that you just are like, it doesn't really matter what I do because those consequences don't mean as much as they do later in life.
Right. So what would have changed if you would have went back and so you said it's the consequences and like things that came out. What were some of those actions that you were taking then that kind of led to that?
All right. So a couple things I talk about is the mentality of, back then when I first got in the business, we're in one of the hottest real estate markets ever, right?
Right.
And I got in 2007, March, right?
Not the hottest market. Yeah.
Well, it was actually really, really hot at that time. Right. I got in March 15th of 2007. Right. I was, 20 years old at the time, turning 21. Right. And by May, so less than 60 days later, I had made $17,000 on at
20 years old.
At 20 years old on a 60% commission split at that time.
Right.
And what do you think a 20-year-old does with $17,000? Right. You blow it, right? And I come from a family that has kind of two ends of the spectrum, right? Okay. My father's side, very blue collar worker. Yeah. I'm from New Jersey. Right. So, city mentality, my father's, my grandfather owned a convenience store. His father was a butcher in Newark, New Jersey. Right. Very just get up in the morning, 4:30, go to work, come home late at night, that type of thing. And then my grandfather's side, he was a founding partner of a huge accounting firm in New Jersey, and he lived.
So it's really two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, and he lived a very affluent lifestyle. Jaguar convertible. Right. Back in the day, the country club mentality. So I got a taste of the finer things, right? Yeah. So you could just say that I felt like I had to compete in my family. And when I got in the business and I made all that money, my mentality at the time, again, with so much runway, was like, how much money do I have to spend? Now, how much money can I save? Right. So it was like, okay, I got $5,000 coming in a month. That means I got $5,000 to spend. Right. So eventually the business caught up to me, and there's a whole long story behind all that. But I've basically made a decision, a choice is like, listen, am I going to let this linger on, or am I going to stop the bleeding? And I did so by getting a fresh start. And yes, at 21 years old, I filed bankruptcy.
Hey man, but that's
like real bankruptcy, not like I had no money in the bank. Like I actually went and filed bankruptcy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What was that? I always remember that the Office. Do you remember when they like get to declare bankruptcy and he comes out, he's like bankruptcy. Yeah, no, but you went and did that. So, I mean, that must have been kind of humbling. So, like, what were some of those? Like, so right after you did that, what was your mindset at the time when you made that decision to file bankruptcy? Like, what was your mindset at the time?
My mindset was slow and steady wins the race, right? And for me to get back and recover, I had to be very strategic about what I did. I had to get my mindset right. So I was very lucky to have a mentor at the time that I got when I was like 18 years old.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I was exposed to personal development. You know, I didn't know what personal development was. I didn't know that there was actually books you could read.
Just talked about this the other day.
Told you about that you could actually better your life, right? I thought books were like you read novels and, you know.
That stuff you read in school.
Yeah, you just read books for fun, for stories. So I had a good foundation on personal development.
Right.
And there's one book I love. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson.
Okay.
And it talks about the compound effect of doing the simple little things over a period of time that lead to success.
Yeah.
So I was very, you know, I always say this, right? You know, people are like, Zach, what made you successful? And I was like, you know, to be real with you, like, I don't even think there's anything that I've done that great. I don't do backflips every day, but I'm extremely consistent. So I was like, listen, I'm just going to be consistent. And if I know if I do it for a long period of time, it's going to happen. Same thing with my personal finances. I started doing what you call auto save. Yeah. You know, I knew, hey, if I lived when I was broke off of nothing, if I auto saved and put aside money every single month, I learned to live off the rest because I lived with that type of scarcity mindset before.
Right. And I think that's one of those things where everybody wants that secret sauce, that pathway to be like, how are you successful? Like there's one thing that we do. And what it comes down to is it's consistency. And what most people don't like it, it's not sexy. It's not pretty. Consistently doing the same things over and over. It's not something that's like, I want to do the same thing every single day and be consistent.
Exactly.
It's not pretty. It's not sexy. It's not something that you actively say you want to do. Same thing with like working out. I always say it's like the reason why everybody doesn't do it is because you got to do it every freaking day to get the results.
Man. I say this, bro. There is no such thing as a break. Success comes to those who work hard for it.
Yep.
That's it.
It's like you could say lucky, but that person was ready when that situation presented itself. Yeah. They were ready. They did everything in their power to get to that point, and then you get quote unquote lucky.
And it's even worse now, right? Because you know the thing is you know most people are not exposed on Instagram, on Facebook.
Define exposed, like
meaning. You don't treat you. They show their highlight reel, right? They're showing their wins. They're never showing their L's. Right. So we all have this mentality of like, oh my God, everybody's successful, and
they did it overnight.
We think it's so easy. Of course, you know, like all the stuff going on in the stock market, and this is that. People are showing all the money they're making. They ain't showing how much money they're losing.
Right.
So
you don't even know if they're up right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, man. Just consistency wins.
Right. So like, what are some of those consistent actions that you like, so let's say from 20, like, okay, we don't have to go back too far, but like, what are some of those consistent actions that you do on a daily that like, no matter what, you are knocking these out?
Okay. So first and foremost, I live and die by my calendar.
Yeah.
Right. I've gotten so particular about living and die by my calendar that if I don't put it in my calendar, I will forget.
I will not do it.
Right. If somebody says, Zach, I need to call a prospect and it doesn't go in my calendar, I'm going to forget to call because I don't write anything down. So number one is adding everything into a calendar and managing your life out of one place and decluttering your life. I talk a lot about like, we've got so many things all over the place, like from this message, that message, you know, we've got notes everywhere. You need to compile and put everything in one place. That's one big thing. And then prospecting daily. You know, prospecting comes in different forms. It doesn't always have
pretty,
to be
so
just picking up the phone and making calls. It could be text message, but every day, you know, turning the light on, right? Being present, showing people that you're in business. Like, hey, my open sign is on. Like, how do people know if you're a realtor or a mortgage lender if you don't ever even talk about it or tell anybody about it?
I love that. I love that. And you always know you're around the right group when you can look at a poster and say, that's one of my core values. So for those of you that watch some of my other videos, I got a poster back there. don't compete, dominate.
Yeah.
So what is that, core value number 8 for you guys?
Core value number 8.
All right. So I know I got my definition of this. I want to hear yours. Like, what does that mean to you?
It just means play full out, man.
Yeah.
And it also means that, there's a lot of noise and people compare themselves to everything. I'm big into going against the status quo, especially in my business.
Right.
You get a lot of like, oh, well, this is how it has to be, or this is
how it's always been done.
This is how the industry is. And, this is what clients and realtors should expect. When you're trying to, grow a world-class company, you have to constantly innovate and be better than everybody else. You can't just take the high road or take the low road all the time and say, well, that's how it's done. So just coming in and paving your own road and being like, I'm not going to do it like everybody else because I'm not everybody else.
That's got to come with some pushback though too, right? Like being able to pave your own way and do your own things. Like how do you deal with that when you get pushback from certain individuals or certain people? Like maybe the industry itself, like at first where it's like anytime it's innovative, there's always pushback because it's changed. How have you personally dealt with that?
Believe in your vision and don't waver. I think growing the business for a lot of times we've allowed people to insert their opinion without having having any basis of doing so. And, for me personally, my personality is I'm a pleaser. I want to please everybody.
Right.
And when you're building something great and you have a vision, you have to stick to it and you just have to do it. So, it's not for everybody, and you have to realize that it's okay. Your vision doesn't have to be for everybody. There's a saying that you're born and then you die, and you make up everything else in between. So if you're if you're not having fun and you're not doing the business as you want to do it, then what's the point?
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the innovation, because I know Home First, you guys are doing a lot of great things. I want to kind of bring it back into what you're doing there now, right? We've been talking about what we've been doing up until this point. What are you guys doing? What is one thing you're excited about? Yeah. That vision that you're talking about. What is one thing you're excited about that you guys are doing right now?
Yeah. I think the big theme of our company has been what I'm excited about is changing, like I said, the status quo.
Yeah.
We're a broker.
Can you give me an example of how you guys are doing that?
Yeah. We're a broker. Most brokers in our industry are looked at as mom and pop shops, one or two, mortgage brokers or whatever the team is. And it's kind of like every man for themselves, a free for all. Right. We've created an environment, a team environment where people can come on and they can really grow and flourish in our industry. So we have a huge focus on training and allowing loan officers to plug in. And we take away all the stuff that is hard for LOs in their first year, like prospecting for their business and focusing on getting really good. So having a system where we can really get people from 1 to 10 deals a month, within, 12 months or less, if they're committed to that, is great. So one thing, we believe is creating everything internal and making things proprietary to us. Yeah. And having systems that, are the Home First way, not somebody else's way. And then the last thing is just a focus on conversion, man. What excites me is that we're, intentional about everything that we do, and we're looking to get better every single day. Our business, one thing I've noticed is that people chase the low-hanging fruit in our business constantly. Oh, of course. And when they can't convert any more low-hanging fruit, what they do is they go buy more leads instead of looking for the additional business in there.
So what should they be doing? Well, all right, what's a solution that you found to that?
Sure. Yeah. Focus on your database. Yeah. So the biggest mistake that I made in my career early on is I just didn't have a focus on my database. The one with the biggest database is the one who's going to win, that actually markets to their database. So
what are some different ways to focus on your database?
Yeah. So, people might think that email marketing is dead. One thing that we focus on.
No, it is not.
I get your freaking emails.
Yeah.
I'm watching.
Yeah.
And you do it very consistently. We follow a very similar process. Email marketing is not dead. Nope. You do it properly with call to actions.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm glad. Yeah, we share that.
Email, yeah.
So email marketing's not dead. Focus on your database, bro.
Yeah. All right, so email is definitely one way. And I'm glad you brought that up because
you didn't expect that, did you?
No, I didn't. But yeah, because I love when people say like, "Oh, this is dead," but you know what happens is it's the lack of consistency and it's the lack of a following the system. When you're consistent, you follow a system that's been proven to work, you get results, and all of a sudden, oh, it's not dead anymore. No, it was never dead. It's just maybe it's not following the right path. And I mean, with emails, man. It is definitely not dead. Trust me. That's why we do it all the time, because we know it's still alive and well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're smiling because you know you get our emails too. But
hell yeah.
yeah.
I see them every single time, and I stop, and occasionally I read them, occasionally I don't. And that's what it is. When you're consistent, you're going to say something in that subject line, and that's going to catch something.
Man, and that's what it's about. You know, it's not every message is going to get everybody there's not one magic message, one magic piece of content, one magic script that's going to get every single person. It's the consistency of getting it going, and eventually you're going to catch that person to do the right thing.
Exactly.
So I just want to know, what are you guys doing with agents? Like, what separates you guys from everybody else?
Yeah, you know, I say this every time I meet with an agent. This is not your typical realtor to vendor relationship. When we lock arms, our conversations, of course, we're going to talk about mortgages and what's the average interest rates and down payments. But our conversations are not going to be surface level. They're going to be deep. We're going to talk about, you know, what are you doing in your business? How are you growing? And, you know, we've made a lot of mistakes along the way. Like most businesses, we're constantly in growth mode. And what I enjoy is being able to share some of the mistakes that we've made in hopes that I can influence somebody to not make those same mistakes. So, you know, we're really locking arms with, you know, real estate professionals to, you know, mastermind on a daily basis and talk about the strategies that will help grow their business. What has Home First Lending done to do that? And hopefully that type of mentorship and coaching will provide, you know, if they do those things, their business will grow. And then of course we benefit from that action.
It's a win-win. Yeah, no, that's a great way of thinking about it. The more you can benefit them, add value to them, they get more business.
Exactly.
Guess where it trickles back down
we're
to.
constantly going out and teaching, and, you know, just really
on podcasts.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I love that, because I know just from working with you guys, from my perspective too, you know, when we're working with vendors, man, that shit's like herding cats, right? Like, I'm trying to be like, all right, you got to fill out this form. You got to do this. You got to make sure you get this done, man. I will say this, working with you guys, it was a luxury. I was like, hey, can you guys fill this out? Within the day, it's like, oh, here you go. Here's all your information. Yeah. And it was great, because that just shows, to me, that just shows the systems and everything that's in place. You know, when something gets sent, it gets taken care of and sent back. A lot of times I never name names. I know they're individuals, but, you know, working with, like I said, because at that time, I was working with 16 top producers across the nation and then 16 vendors. Yeah. That shit was difficult.
Yeah. Honestly, bro, like, I'm a very passionate, just ready to take over the world, no limits, and my team has to slow me down sometimes. So I'm very, very fortunate to have an incredible team, as much as I fight them about their processes, their procedures, their ways of doing things. When I look back and I understand you have to have a process for everything. So what you were feeling or what you were seeing is a culmination, a result of having a great team behind me that understands that we got to run a business like a business.
So I'm going to dive into this, because this is something that we've went through as well, as, you know, like when you hire a team, you know, like you could read books, you could always read something to get a different perspective. Sometimes it's hire to your strengths, hire to your weaknesses, like bring other people in. Yeah. For you, okay, I'm trying to figure out a great way to say this. You know, when you hire to your weakness and that person is like almost polar opposite of you, like, how have you managed those relationships?
It's not been easy, man.
Yeah.
It's not been easy.
It's essential, but it's not easy.
Yeah. Well, I can say this. Okay. I don't know if this is the answer you're looking for, but this is what I can tell you. Right. My CEO, Teresa, is one of the most level-headed, understanding, best listening people ever. Right. So you have to appoint somebody. So when you have pulling personalities, you have to have somebody in your organization, hopefully your CEO, somebody who is your main leader, quote unquote, that's got a level head, that is got the experience enough to see both sides and sort of acts like as a mediator. Right. So a lot of us, you know, when we kind of have these scuffles, if you will, or differencing of opinions, we really just make sure that we filter everything up to somebody who's got more of a non-biased opinion, so that we can think better. So I mean, that's really the easiest answer I can give you. But I mean, you know, working together as a team it's so hard, man. It's so hard. And you know, I chose, when I went into the mortgage business, even before I was with Home First, you know, I had a partner, and I have partners now, and having partners is not easy because you have differing opinions. But you know,
that's what strives, that's what builds it and pushes the uniqueness and pushes the diversity. It pushes everything because you have different ideas coming in, but it's how do you collaborate with those ideas?
You know, it's more fun to do it together than it is alone. That's my motto. But Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but the reality is that when you guys are unified on your vision, then it all comes together and you have a mutual respect for each other. And I think just collaboration and open-mindedness is key. And just sometimes both parties have to be willing to agree to disagree and move forward at what's best for the team, not necessarily what's best for them.
Yeah. Man, I love the way you said that. As long as everybody has a unified vision and understands that, hey, we're all trying to go the same way. You just might think your way's better, might think my way's better. Let's figure out what the solution is. But as long as everybody is moving in the right direction and has a clear idea what that vision is, because that's one thing I found, from being inside other organizations too. We work with a lot of different organizations, brokers, different people in the industry, out of the industry. Is what we find is when we ask like what the vision is, like what's the goal, and people have different answers. It's like, okay, this is the sole problem.
Bro, it takes a long time. I mean, we re-rolled out our mission statement at the beginning of 2020, and it took us weeks, if not months, to really say, what the heck is our mission statement? Why are we doing it? Then once you establish this mission statement, then it's actually showing the team that mission statement is more than just something on words on a piece of paper. And it's a constant battle to make sure you're doing that. But what anchors that mission statement is great core values, right? Because everything you do, you live and die by your core values.
This is our three right here.
Awesome. And it filters right up to your mission statement, and then you can stay aligned with what your purpose is.
So what is your mission statement?
So our mission is to be the hometown lender, providing the service you deserve at the speed you desire.
Man, you know that like the back of your hand.
Hell yeah, I better know it.
I better know it.
I better know it. Yeah, that's and my personal mission statement, which I think is important. And we're talking a lot about business, but for a long time, bro, I was just working for the money with no real purpose, right?
Yeah.
And defining what your personal purpose and mission statement is really as important as working for a company or having a company with a mission statement.
I'm going to ask it now. What's your personal mission statement?
My personal mission statement is to provide experience to others that they never imagined for themselves.
Y'all think he goes over this once or twice? Yeah. No, exactly.
So I'm driven. My hard work is driven by getting pleasure out of seeing others have experiences for themselves that I've been blessed to be able to, have for myself. And that's fun for me. Like I said, it's more fun doing it with those that you love than doing it alone.
I love it. Hey, I always like ending my segments with this. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you about a minute and a half here. Okay. You're going to look in the camera.
All right.
And for all the leaders out there, I want to give you one bit of information, one nugget that you've learned that will help them benefit.
One nugget that I've learned.
One nugget, the most beneficial thing that you could think of right now. I know I'm putting you on the spot. That could help all the leaders out there. The camera's up there, not down here. So
I think honestly, bro, I think it's what I said earlier is that patience is key, right? And it's like the meme that you see on Facebook about the guy in the diamond mine that is hitting it, right? Like, just keep going and never give up at what your dreams are. Don't waver for anybody. Stop caring about what everybody else thinks and just do you. Like I said, you're born and then you die. You make everything else up in between. So if something is not working, something you don't love, change it. That's so important to do. That's it, bro.
Let's go, Zach. Appreciate you coming on live with leaders, my man Zach. We'll catch you on the next one.